Welcome back to the Charismatic Voice and to another fireside Q&A. This video is going to be a little bit different. A bunch of you have been asking questions not about voice, but about me and my journey. And I've always felt a little hesitant to talk too much about myself. I made this channel not to be about me, but to be about you and about loving great singing and building a community together. But after reading through a bunch of your questions, I realized that I owe it to you to open up a little bit and share. Caroline Gomez summed it up when she wrote, "I would really like to know about your journey with music, and when did you begin to get interested in being a singer at all?" Thank you for your questions. I will be presenting an answer in storybook format. Once upon a time, on the 19th of March, a young voice named Elizabeth was born. When Elizabeth was a wee young one, she started singing before speaking, or at least that's what her mother says. Growing up, her brother and sister often complained about her making strange noises, to which she usually responded with more and more absurd noises, eventually earning her the nickname the Banshee. Her family lived on an orchard in Washington state, where she was often seen driving a tractor. Her father once told her that if he could hear her singing before he heard the tractor, she might someday have a career in voice. So she sang as loud as she could, and many birds trembled in fear. Elizabeth's mother was also a singer and taught piano too. She took Elizabeth to a summer music festival every year, and Elizabeth started to sing with the choir before she knew she was really too young to be singing with adults. Elizabeth decided in 6th grade that she was going to have a career in music. At the time, she thought that would probably be piano, but was open to composition or voice. In high school, Elizabeth formed a trio with 2 other girls called the Rhapsodies. They sang all kinds of songs together for 4 years, but their best song was about a muddy puddle. There was a moment when the decision was made. The decision not just to sing, but to become a singer. It happened senior year of high school during a statewide competition. Elizabeth was performing Nu Voletta by Samuel Barber, and her mother accompanied her on the piano. Time seemed to stop. And the audience leaned forward, and suddenly Elizabeth knew this singing was a powerful thing. It made her and other people feel more alive. So her studies began. Elizabeth first studied for a year at the conservatory in France, then a year and a half near Seattle, then a semester in China, and eventually she received her bachelor's in music and voice from Oberlin Conservatory. She was then accepted into both of her dream schools, Juilliard and the Curtis Institute of Music, and she chose to attend Curtis for her master's degree. 3 years later, she had already begun singing professionally with major opera companies around the world, including the Opera Theater of St. Louis, Opera Philadelphia, and San Francisco Opera, and she'd performed on many large stages, including the Metropolitan Opera and Carnegie Hall. Elizabeth then ventured across the seas. She sang for the Queen in Belgium and was televised across Europe. She lived for a year in Germany, performing at the Dresden Semperoper. She also sang in Italy, France, England, and throughout North America. And while the singing and traveling may sound glorious, and it was mostly pretty fantastic, it wasn't without drawbacks. Elizabeth was continually saddened by the difficulties of maintaining meaningful relationships while being on the road. She wanted love to last, but it didn't many times. Elizabeth also wanted to reach more people. She was frustrated that the classical community didn't encompass more listeners and more diversity. She wanted to share the beauty of singing with a wider audience. So, she started taking online courses while traveling to learn about music technology, business, composition, and production. She began writing more of her own music on the side and started composing for video games. One of the greatest challenges was having an ever-changing voice. Some voices grow more than others, and hers was like this. She started off her professional career singing the lightest and highest operatic notes. But then her sound blossomed and expanded, and she grew into more dramatic and heavier repertoire. She decided to relocate to Los Angeles Opera, where she worked with mentors for 2 years. During her time in Los Angeles, Elizabeth continued with many people from other areas. Elizabeth connected with many people from other areas of the music industry. She produced an album with the Materia Collective and began working on more music outside of the classical genre. She also started a YouTube channel, which would later become The Charismatic Voice, and she expanded her knowledge in voice to include recording technology and voiceover. As 2 years with the Los Angeles Opera started to come to a close, Elizabeth realized that she didn't want to go back on the road again. She felt she could reach more people through expanding technologies. She also didn't want to just reach people with her own voice, but she wanted to help others find more joy in music too, and also share their messages. So, Elizabeth left the opera road and committed to expanding vocal education online. She also expanded her own recording and production skills, and she released many more songs in video games, on iTunes, and on Spotify. And somewhere in all of this, she also took some time to train a computer how to sound like her. So someday, you might find her voice with you in a self-driving car. Leaving travel behind was one of the best decisions Elizabeth ever made because it allowed her to meet and settle down with her love and partner in life, Kirk McCune. They got married this year on February 29th, and every day since then, Elizabeth has felt like the luckiest woman in the world. Kirk was beside Elizabeth when her YouTube channel finally started to take off. She'd been working on it for over 2 years, relentlessly continuing to post videos about vocal education, and then a spark from a reaction video caused the channel to catch fire. All of the years of preparation and honing her skills had not prepared Elizabeth for how much she would love the community that started blossoming on The Charismatic Voice. This week, we passed a huge milestone of 50,000 subscribers. To you, my beloved YouTube community, thank you so much for being here with me and nerding out about voice with me and just appreciating great singing. You are wonderful support to me and to this channel. I can't wait for the awesome party that you and I are going to throw when we hit 100,000 subscribers. It's going to be amazing. But thank you for listening today, and I'm looking forward to our next chapter together.